Welcome to Let's Chat, where we go over the chat section of the right pane. If you have seen my videos prior, I'm referring to the right side of the screen, which we'll see here in a bit. But for those of you who are keeping up, we're going to do what every good GM that has a Foundry VTT installed is going to do. When you first open up Foundry VTT, you'll have your password to put in as an administrator. I hope you've set that by now. And first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to our game systems and we're going to check to see if we have an update. We do have an update. So as we always do with in this case, Pathfinder 2nd Edition, I'm going to go ahead and install that update. Right now it's downloading. And then it will install. Usually very quick. Alright, the game system was successfully installed. So we're going to go back to our game worlds. We're going to go to Foundry VTT with Liam. Alrighty, I hope everyone's having a good day so far. So right now it's going to be applying the Pathfinder 2nd Edition migration system to the new version. Please be patient, do not... So as you can see here, when this window pops up, it is completed. Note, when you have way more characters, actors, and items and all that fun stuff, this will take a lot longer because it has to make sure that every single actors and items sheet is in updated. If it needs to make any changes, it has to make those changes while still retaining the information. So we're good here. So we can go ahead and click that off. So today we're going to be going over chat. Chat. All right, so first things first here. Like I showed last week, but in case you haven't seen it, if I type, hello, how are you today? Great. How about yourself? Right, so if we have those different inputs here as a GM or assistant GM, which we'll get to roles when we get to that main settings section that's coming in a few weeks from now. We have these little trash can icons. Again, if I just said, if I wanted to say hello, then we can just simply remove the first two, and all we see is hello. Again, this is exceptionally useful. I'll just go ahead and give you a very quick example of why this is a very useful thing. Let's say we link Abyssal. Well, we need an actor to do that. But imagine, let me think of one that's Aqueous Orb. Aqueous Orb, right? So imagine all of that flying into the chat, which we don't have to imagine it, we can just do it. Right? Boom. Blech. Look at all of that. Oh my gosh. Can't even see all of it. It's too much. It's too much. Alright, so I'm going to read what I need to read as GM, and we're going to get rid of that, because oh my gosh, that's too much to read. Or too much on the screen, especially when you're in the middle of combat. It's a big no-no. So, basic commands here for people that have never used copy-paste, because you'd be amazed at how many people have never used copy-paste. So let's say I'm going to type in paste, right? What you can do here is with your mouse, you can hold left click and highlight what you need. You can hit Control C as in Charlie, Control Charlie. And then in the window where I want to type, you can hit Control V as in Victor. And you'll see it pops up. You hit pay and you hit enter to submit the message, and there's paste. You'd be amazed at how many people don't know Control C, Control V. It's quite amazing. So, yes, Control C, Control V, your best friend. You also have the ability to highlight, right click it. Oh, make private. That's interesting. Oh, now this post is private. So we'll get there. So let me see. Other than that, for now, we'll go ahead and go over the 4 types of roles here. So as you can see here, anything that's typed in public role is a public message. So let's look at the color difference here. If I say hi, I type in private GM. I say hello. And then I type in blind GM. Hello. And then a self role. Hello. As text, you can see there's no difference at all. However, let's see what happens when we roll some dice. So, on the left side, or I don't have the simple dice roller app. Okay. So what we're gonna do. Okay, so we'll go over that then. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring up this reference sheet so you can see what I'm talking about here. See if it's here. Is not in here. Okay, well, we'll go over it now. So, if I need to roll a dice, let's say I'm going to roll the most common dice, which is the D20. You can type /roll space 1D20, because that's how many I'm rolling. I only need to roll 1 D20. So I'll go ahead and roll that, and boom, there it is. It just comes up, shows me the results. I rolled a D20, it's a 5, it's a 5. Well, if I need to roll 2 D20s, you can do /roll 2D20. Enter, and there's the result. We can click on it, see the first rise. The second roll was a natural 20. Let's go. First one was a 7, but it gives you the total here. So again, in Pathfinder, it's rare you're gonna roll 2 D20s. Well, let's say I'm playing. I'm swinging a sword, and I have. So we're gonna roll /roll 1 D20, and let's say my attack bonus is 9. So we're gonna do 1 D20 plus 9, and we can see our result here. A 16 plus a 9 is gonna give us 25. Now we can also, so when you start wanting to roll multiple dice and things like that at a time, one thing you're gonna start doing is you're gonna try and learn shortcuts, right? So do I want to type out /roll every time? No. So there is /R. Let's see what happens when we do 1D20. We'll do the same number, plus 9. Ooh, so it looks like that command worked. Or that, I should say that, yeah, I guess that string of characters worked. So /R, interesting. /R means /roll. Okay, well, what if we need to, let's see. Okay, so as you saw those rolls earlier, what happens if we do with the GM roll? So let's go ahead and do the same example. /1D20. Now, fun fact, if you just put D20 plus 9, it automatically assumes you only mean 1D20 because the default lowest number you could roll is 1 dice. So you can put D20 as well. But you can see the color is different. It may be hard to see on like a, but this is more of a blue, and this is more of the same color as the text input area. It's more of a tan color, or I should say a beige cream, like a scroll cream color, where this is blue. This means that this is a private GM roll. Only a GM can see it. And same thing, if your players roll a private roll that only you and them can see, so if a player was in here and they rolled privately, the GM would still see that, right? So then we have the blind roll. So let's go ahead, roll D20 plus 9. Oops, I did not mean to do that. Oh yeah, so also, if we make a mistake, again, we can kill it with the trash can icon. So if we press the up arrow key, you can see that it goes back. You see, it shows me the different things I've put in if I press the up and down arrow keys on my keyboard. Pretty useful. So let me see one moment here. 1 second. I'm gonna try and see if I can. Okay, never mind. I'll have to do that next time. Okay, so so let's go ahead and go back, and we're gonna do D20 plus 9, and as you can see here, it is a purple, like a bright purplish color or bright purple hue. So we have a normal roll, a private GM roll, and a blind GM roll. Now, why do we need blind GM rolls in Pathfinder? This is a great tool. I like this a lot because when you're doing like recall knowledge checks or trying to lie to someone and they roll deception, use the lie action to try and lie to somebody with deception. They're not supposed to see because it's a secret check. Now, instead of me having to roll as a GM, the nice part about the blind GM roll is the player still gets to have the feeling of having some control over it, even though obviously they don't see the result. But at least they get the satisfaction of clicking that roll button, knowing that the dice is going out and only the GM can see it. Then last but not least, we have a self roll. I mean, I've never really used this. I don't see the purpose in it. Again, it's the same color as the private roll because technically it's a private roll, but it's only to yourself. Even the GM cannot see this. What they'll see is essentially you'll just see question, like everyone at the table will see a bunch of question marks. Now by default, with these blind rolls and these private GM rolls, they'll typically see these rolls. It'll just say question mark, question mark, question mark, and they won't see the actual result, but they'll know you're rolling. Now that can be, depending on how you like to do things, that can be a good thing, that can be a bad thing. I personally don't like it when players know I need to roll some dice behind the screen. That may or may not affect them, because if let's say the NPC is trying to lie to them, well, they don't need to roll that. They don't need to know, and they're not supposed to know that they're rolling deception checks, like blind deception checks to see if they can actually lie to the characters. And there's an add-on module. We'll get to add-ons much later. But the add-on modules will allow you to, like there's one that's called actually private roles, which makes it to where you can choose which kind of roles are seen at all, and they won't even hear the dice are rolling. You'll still hear the dice are rolling, but they won't even know that the dice are rolling, which is really, really cool. Which, yes, if you want to know if there is definitely an add-on that makes it to where you can see the dice coming out, which is a lot more satisfying. Now you can, and we'll get there when we get there. That one's called Dice So Nice. If you want to do your homework and work ahead of me, that's fine. So that's all the types of rolls you can have. So. With saving it, we can see that we can save this. Now, what this does for me is you see a normal pop-up window, like when you go to try and save a picture on the internet or anything else. It'll ask you where you'd like to save it, and it will save it as a .txt, which is just a standard text file that you can like open in Notepad or anything like that, and it will save the chat log. Like I said, I don't need to save these rolls, as great as it's been. So with chat in mind, or let's see here. So yes, with the chat, let's see, anything else that could go over for the chat that's basic. Let's see. Oh yes, whispering. So if there was another player in here, one thing you could do is you could do /whisper. And we'll go ahead and move over to the actual website here. So the other things we can do here for chat, you can say in character, which is IC. Now, you don't need to do this as long as you have your, like, if you are only assigned to one character, which typically a player is only assigned to one character, when they speak by default, they will they'll speak as their character, and even if their icon is on them or their tokens on the map, you'll see it come up as like make it look like a chat bubble. Out of character means that you will like, if we're going back here real quick, as you can see, my name is Game Master, and I have the assigned token of just GM, which is just a general tag if you're GM and you don't have any characters assigned to you. So if I were to type in character, I would say hello. So my name is Game Master. If I do /OOC, hello. Hold on. That did not seem to work. Oh, okay. So never mind. It says right here. I obviously didn't read this right here. Out of character, that causes the message to be spoken out of character. Out of character message will be outlined by the player's color to make them more easily recognizable. A player without an identified speaker or selected token will automatically speak out of character. So I'm speaking out of character right now. So excuse me. So the name you see here is your out of character name, which we can go here. So typically you'd have like a player avatar, which would be assigned to like the character you'd have there, which again we'll get to when we get to the actors. Oops, you can't see that. Yeah, which we'll get to when we get to the actors section. You can choose color. So let's say I want to be red. I want to be red. Well, just so you can see the difference actually. Let's switch me to blue real quick. So if I were to type again, hello, you can see now that my outline in chat is blue. Real pretty blue. So, other things we can do here, we have emotes. You can do emote. So you can do /emote. You can do /em or /me. This causes the message to be an emote performed by the character. Emotes are in-character actions conveyed. So let's go ahead and see what that would look like real quick, if it allows me to, because I'm not playing a character right now. So we'll go ahead and do this publicly. /emote waves his hand. You cannot do this without an identified speaker. All right, well, just for the purposes of this, we're just gonna make we're gonna make a character real quick, and then we'll assign myself to this test character, which we'll get to later. So let's try this again. Test waves his hand. So there you go. And then let's see what else we got here. We have the whispered messages. So if you had two players in here, which I currently don't, you would essentially type /whisper, which is really long to type, and you'd say, hey, psst, you know, and you'd say something. But again, you'd have to, as you can see at the top, check your spelling or try type /w plus and then space the username. So /w, just like /r for /roll, /w works for whisper. But again, we need two players in here to make that happen. Which again, when we get to actors, we'll get to having multiple players and actors and stuff like that. So now we have whisper messages. Again, very, very simple. You can even whisper multiple people. So you just do name, comma, space, name, comma, space. What do you think? Should we attack or should we sneak past? And remember, lastly, the names GM and players will send whisper to all Game Master users or non-GM users respectively. So again, this is the one way your players can talk around you as a GM. So remember that. Again, now rolling dice here, last but not least, we have, or not last but not least, yeah, pretty much, yeah, last thing here. We have /roll, which again, we know we can do /r, /GM roll, and then we have /blind roll, /self roll. So, one thing we can do, so we're in public right now, so /GM roll 1d20. As you can see, it goes straight. So sorry about that. We'll go ahead and delete that so you can see the command there. So /GM roll 1d20. And boom, that's going to make it to where you can see that I rolled a 5 and only the GM would see this, even though I typed it in a public form. Normally, if I just typed hello, you could see that message. But if I type GM roll, it becomes a GM roll, even if I'm in a public, I guess you can call this channel of text. So same thing. If we want to abbreviate it, GMR. GM roll 1d20. And now it's a GM roll. So GMR. I believe SR works 1d20. Yeah, that's a self roll. And then we have blind roll. So let's try BR, because I don't know if that actually works. /BR or blind roll 1d20. There we go. /BR blind roll. There you go. I've never used that, so that was new for me too. Alrighty. Let's see, chat bubbles. So as you can see here, with the chat bubbles, we have the bartender saying, "Oh, bartender ale, please." This adventure here, you can see that the token's selected because it has a little orange icon around it, which again we'll get to in another episode here, or another little walkthrough here. So pop out chat messages. Some game systems allow certain chat messages to be popped out of their own window for quick reference once they have been posted. Now we have this ability in Pathfinder by default. Now I'll go ahead and show you. It is the greatest tool you have as a GM, especially if, like right now, this is streaming at 1920 by 1080. If you have a wider screen or multiple monitors, I would definitely encourage you to use all the room you can get. So here, if we see the chat bubble here, we can right click it, and what do you know? We have ourselves a miniature pop-out window. And we can even make those edits in here. Now, you would say, oh, well, Liam, there's no way to resize this? There is if you have the proper add-on module. It's called Pop-Out Resizer. But again, that's if you want to get ahead and, blaze ahead of everybody else. So, and that's really gonna wrap it up for chat. I guess we could do macro. Yeah, we'll add macros to this because I'm feeling saucy today. So, if you left click on that bar down there, this will pop up, and yes, this does work like the key row you have above your QWER key. This is the number row, and it works like you were playing a video game. If you don't want it, you can just click on the number at the. Never mind, that's another add-on. No. You can click on this little arrow here next to the folder, and it will go away if you don't like it. But once you start learning how to use it, a lot of people like it. So let's say we wanted to do, let's have a macro that says, let's say you're playing a character who's very confident in themselves, and they wish to let everybody know when they enter a tavern. So we'll call this boast, and then we'll say /emotes. Well, let's just do we'll keep it. The name's Bond, James Bond. All right. So let's go ahead and save the macro. So if we press 1 on our keyboard, the name's Bond, James Bond. All I had to do is press 1. So you can imagine that's just a chat use. If I right click here and I go to edit macro, Ooh, we have a different type of input we can do. Let's try a tiny little script. See what happens. So, as I showed you earlier, we have the means to roll, right? So, wait, what if we made... Hold on, what if we made a macro that rolled our attack damage? Or rolled our attack for us. And let's say our bonus again is D20 plus 9. And then let's just test it. We can execute it. Uh-oh. Script didn't work. That's because a script is a little more in-depth. If you want help with writing a script, you could do so by checking out. Let me go ahead and get the knowledge base. Let me see. Now this would be configured game setup, hosting. Thought I had this up, but I don't. Let's see. Okay. All right. Aha, macro commands. Here we go. So, script macros. Okay. So, if you wanted to do script macros, as you can see here, this is on the macro knowledge base here. So if we go to knowledge base at the top of Foundry VTT, you'll see macro commands. So the macro commands, macros are an exciting part of any virtual tabletop, and it's a very powerful tool. So with script macros, complex and powerful macros leverage the Foundry VTT API, or the through JavaScript to perform functions as simple or as advanced as you can imagine. So creating, using, and sharing macros. You can create macros here. So these are all chat macros right here. You see this long one? So this one right here is just saying emote, underline this word. This is a little bit of basic HTML here. So emote, underline, and singing. There was once a ship that put to sea, and the name of the ship was Billy O.T., and this is bolded here. The winds blew hard, her bow dipped down. Blow, me bully boys, blow. So, if we take this right here, we can go ahead and see what that would look like. So we'll call this a boast, and this is a chat macro. Let's go ahead and execute it. Oh, look at that. It was underlined, just like I said it was going to be. You have the Billy O.T. in bold. Now you'll notice one thing I can't do is you can't. I'm so sorry. I'll go ahead and execute this again. So go and edit. We just pasted it in here, and then we executed it, but we can execute it via the line. So you can either click it or you can just hit 1 on your keyboard. And you can notice here that with these, you can't highlight these, even though they're a chat macro. Macros don't allow you to copy or highlight. That's the one odd thing. I'm not sure why that. I'm not sure why that is, but it just so happens to be the case. All right. So with that, we'll go ahead and switch back here, and let's see what are macros. These are script macros. So as you can see here, these are a little more complicated. You need to understand scripting. If you don't understand how to script, or you don't know how to modify these kinds of things, again, this is usually something that is not given. Players are not given access to, because some of these things can break the game if you know what you're doing. Not that we obviously hope that our players aren't trying to break the game, obviously. But this, so this one here is called the Emergency Campaign Resolver, which is pretty funny. Rocks fall, everyone dies. And so let all the targets that equal everything, because it's just empty. Game user targets for each integer and a lot of, if you don't know what this means, you would need to, you would probably want to start hopping into understanding how to script basic code, and their code is the Foundry VTT API. So anything you want to reference in the game all comes from these base objects in the game. As you can see, there's a few objects in the game, and you can learn how to modify and all that fun stuff. But here's where you get started. FoundryVTT or FoundryVTT.com/API. Welcome to programming. If you've ever wanted to try it, here's a great way to get into programming. And script editing and just writing code, just coding. It's a lot of fun. And then with that, we also have the Pathfinder one. Here we go, rules elements. So this is the, wrong one. And I linked this in the last video, but this is the Pathfinder 2nd edition specifically. If you remember, it's in your, and I'll go ahead and just show you here. If you're having troubles accessing or finding it, here it is right here in your settings option, your settings pane over here. There's the guide. We click on guide, and when we come back over, boom, getting started. So again here, making a PC. This covers how to make a PC. Animal companion familiar. How other items work. The GM's page. Learn how to make NPCs. I think they meant to put NPC there. Hazards, loot actors, merchants. How to run combat, and all sorts of fun stuff. So let's take a look at the GM's page, because we're GMs. So, or at least I'm hoping that you're a GM listening to this. If you're a player, all the better. Welcome. So this is how you can make Pathfinder action macros and all that fun stuff. So let's see an action macro. Let's see what that looks like. So an action macro, there's a compendium called Action Macros, which has macros for every skill-based action you might do in combat. If a PC uses one of these macros, it will roll the correct skill and apply all relevant modifiers to show the traits of that action. So as a final wrap-up, we'll go ahead and show you what one of those would look like, because they have them here in the game. We would go to our compendium section, and I know I'm bouncing around a little bit today, but it's just to show you how some of this stuff works. So we see the actions here, and you can, those are items. We see macro section. Here we go. And we will have as you can see, there's a lot to scroll up and down, which can get really annoying. As a GM, you want to try and condense everything into folders, which there is an add-on module for this we'll get to later called Compendium Folder. So all that you see actor here, when we scroll down and it ends here at item, that would all just be one folder, which is a lot easier to look at. So it'd be 4 small folders, or 4 or 5 small folders, and then you just click on it. So we have action macros. Let's go ahead and click on it. So let's say let's say they need to climb a hill. As you can see here, this is a script. This is an actual script here. And it says game Pathfinder 2nd edition. Actions, climb, event. So what does all that mean? Well, you'd have to consult the API to learn more about that, because I do not have enough time to explain that, or I choose not to go into that because it'd be a whole headache. And if you really want to get into that, and really understand what's going on, again, just go to the guide, follow the API documentation, and you'll be set on your way. But to be honest, a lot of this stuff is covered here. You know, seek, perception, stealth, sneaking, athletics, pretty much anything you could use in combat is gonna be there. It will roll the appropriate checks if needed, or when needed. Automatically for those players. And then they even have really snazzy PF2E macros, which these are used, again, these all coincide with the chat, which can allow them to earn income. You can have a macro to open up the compendium browser. You can have it secretly roll perception for all the NPCs you have, all the tokens you have selected. You can just have that down here, click the button, and it'll automatically secretly roll perception for all of them. This is really great when people are trying to sneak around. You have them roll their blind stealth checks, and then you roll the perception, or granted it's against their perception DC. But let's say all the players are walking around and they're just kind of casually searching. Well, there's your perception. Easy. Rest for the night automatically calculates their rested HP they regenerated based on their con times level. Stealth for selected tokens. Take a breather if using stamina. Take cover gives you the bonus to your AC. Mountain stance for monk. I'm not sure why they haven't moved this into the other one, but travel duration. Basically based on all the players' skill or the players' speed, it will tell you how you just put in how long they're traveling, and then it will say, oh, as a matter of fact, I should be able to show you. Almost select at least one token. Okay, we'll worry about that later. Okay. Well, essentially what you no, just remove it. Okay. Yeah, it'll ask how far are you going, and then it'll look at all the speeds of the players. It'll take the slowest one, and it'll tell you how long it's going to take. Very useful. You can distribute XP if you use XP. I don't, just because I'm running pre-written content that tells you when people are going to level. So that concludes chat for the day, even though there was some sprinkled extra macro stuff. Macros are a very, very powerful tool. And when you learn how to use them and just realize what you can do just with the chat window, it becomes a easier game to manage. So with that, thanks for joining me on today's Let's Chat. Until next time, take it easy.